everyone, this is John and you're watching another episode of our weekly show, The Subcontinent. Our program aims to address important issues in the subcontinent which affect the governments, people, organizations and the region as a whole. We will try to explain the issues, break down controversies surrounding them and try to have some external perspectives from experts and people.
In this edition of The Subcontinent, we will walk through the Khaf Herat railway and explore the consequences of this strategic line for the future of trade and transit across Asia to the Western world.
Recently, Iran sent its first cargo of exports to Afghanistan via the new Khaf Herat railroad as a trial dispatch to detect possible technical problems and issues on the 220-kilometer long route of the Iran-Afghanistan rail corridor. This is a part of a long-sought rail network which is planned to go from Iran to Afghanistan and China, either directly or through Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, facilitating transport of goods and services to Europe and the Western world.
The Khaf Herat railway was inaugurated with a trial freight train that delivered about 500 tons of cement from Iran to Afghanistan, while a passenger train also took Iranian officials to Afghanistan for a meeting. The Khaf Herat line is part of a bigger east-west railway corridor project which extends from China to Europe through Iran and Afghanistan. The railway connects Iran's eastern city of Khaf near Mashhad to Afghanistan's western city of Ghorian in the Herat province.
This is a very important project, this new railway connecting the two countries for a variety of reasons. Of course, economically, but also it demonstrates to the world that despite the U.S. aggression against both countries, progress still proceeds. This is a significant achievement, and this gives people hope for one thing, but it also shows the rest of the world that despite foreign aggression, progress continues to be made. The government of the people continues to work on their behalf as much as it can, despite the opposition from outside forces, and it does so successfully, caring for the people. Certainly, Afghanistan is riddled with problems because of the U.S. war against it. But this will give hope to people and provide them with many more opportunities in a variety of ways, not only economically, but also in being able to do some additional travel and leave their war-torn area, at least for a time. This provides hope to the people as well as a number of economic benefits.
The Khaf Herat railway was mainly implemented by the Islamic Republic of Iran under a tripartite agreement between Iran, Afghanistan and India.
You better
know that Afghanistan is water scarce, and transportation roads can work as a backbone of the country. Considering the fact that Afghanistan has an unsafe situation, through the standard transportation system prevalent across the world, goods can be transported through railways safely.
Under construction since 2007, the $1 million project consists of 4 sections, 2 of which are in the Iranian territory and the other 2 on the Afghan side. Iran and Afghanistan have also signed a memorandum of understanding with 5 other countries that are on the way of the East-West corridor, including Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, and further negotiations are still ongoing in this regard.
During the inauguration ceremony, the presidents of both countries hailed the project as a way to increase trade and transit across the region. As Iran's 6th border railroad with neighboring countries and first with Afghanistan, the train track will connect Afghanistan to Iran's large rail network, further strengthening the bond between the two countries and helping Afghanistan become the transit crossroad it has dreamed of so long for becoming.
Speaking during an inaugural ceremony held via video conference due to the COVID pandemic, authorities and officials from Iran and Afghanistan described the railroad as a significant step toward creating a more robust network of international trade and transit of goods. President Rouhani called it a historic day in relations between the two great nations of Iran and Afghanistan and expressed hope that the project serves as a framework for more infrastructure development and economic investment.
it will have a significant impact on prospects for economic, social, and cultural exchange in the region. For one thing, the new railway is expected to transport as many as 1 million passengers between the two cities a year and up to 6 million tons of goods a year. The possible economic benefits for both nations is really beyond what we can comprehend almost. It's incalculable. This will allow Afghanistan to receive many more goods and services at a reduced price, goods and services that they need, goods, equipment, building equipment. Just recently, one of the first shipments was 400 tons of cement that's desperately needed in that nation. So as far as economically, they'll be able to trade much more easily with several ports in Iran. It will enable them to have proximity to a variety of different sources for goods in Iran. Additionally, this will give incentive to the Afghanistan government to extend the railway within their country and connect with other nations. Afghanistan, of course, is landlocked and must move its goods either by road, by truck, or by rail. So having an efficient railway system connecting the two countries will encourage further not only trade and cultural exchanges, but also will encourage the nation to expand and extend the railroad. The opportunities for travel, for having even academic exchanges, sporting goods exchanges, and so on greatly increases. So from a cultural viewpoint, there is that advantage, and people being able to just visit. So socially, economically, and culturally, this railroad has many advantages for both nations, and especially for Afghanistan, which, as I mentioned before, has been decimated by U.S. war for 20 years.
Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif noted that the Khaf Herat railway's significance is not only for Iran and Afghanistan, but for the greater region. As a gateway that will boost trade and people-to-people exchanges, it will also contribute to regional stability and development. Turning our frontiers into bridges is a priority, the Iranian top diplomat said. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, for his part, called the project a historical plan that is crucial for trade and economic development throughout the region. Ghani noted that completion of the Khaf Herat railway during the pandemic era is an indication of both sides' strong national determination. Underlying the significance of the railway, Ghani called it the starting point for the revival of foreign trade and economic development in Asia.
To me, as a citizen, the railway line can have many benefits to the development of the country's economy. For instance, we can name the Herat-Khaf railway line that can prevent corruption in some of the departments, especially those on the border, and will minimize delay in transporting goods. We are hopeful that the Afghan government takes effective steps in expanding other routes just like this Herat-Khaf railway network.
According to experts and officials, the Khaf Herat railway is important not only for Iran and Afghanistan, but also for the greater region, as it can complete a continental line of transport from the Oriental world to the West. The ultimate plan is to make Afghanistan connected to all parts of Asia, including the subcontinent, the Iranian plateau, and the Arabian Peninsula, even the North American plate in Siberia.
Before the opening of the Khaf Herat railway, Afghanistan had 3 railroad lines but no passenger rail service. The first is between Mazar-e-Sharif and the border town of Herat in Balkh province, which then connects with the railway network of Uzbekistan. This part is online since 2011. The second track, which links Turgundi in Herat province to Turkmenistan, is working since 1960. The third, which opens in 2016, is between Akina in Faryab province and neighboring Turkmenistan. The rail link from Herat to Khaf is planned to transport both cargo and passengers, heralding a new era of transportation for the people of Afghanistan.
It has the potential to greatly change and enhance and improve their lives. As it is now, transportation from one area to another is very difficult because of the bombings, the U.S. troops and so on that are there, and the extreme poverty that the country suffers from, mainly because of the U.S. war. Having a railway through the country will enable people to travel to more peaceful parts of the country, will enable them to visit relatives, perhaps who they haven't been able to see in some time because of the war and the inability to travel. Having easy transportation to different parts of the country will enable them to access different markets. This will benefit the people who are buying, but it will also benefit the people who are selling. So the ability for the Afghan people to travel within the country and between Afghanistan and Iran will bring many, many benefits to them, and that will cause significant positive changes in their lives.
Moreover, Afghanistan and India are working on extending the rail route from Herat to Mazar-e-Sharif. Mazar-e-Sharif is already linked with Uzbekistan and Tajikistan via rail routes. Herat is already linked with Turkmenistan via rail and road routes. India is also finalizing a plan to construct a 900-kilometer railway line that will connect the southeastern port of Chabahar in Iran to the mineral-rich Haji-Gak region of Afghanistan.
Although the Afghan government is struggling with economic challenges and the war among militant groups, government itself, and the US-led troops, it is committed to priorities such as the national flagship development, transportation and infrastructure projects, and is especially determined to deliver the railway projects on time. Kabul knows that connecting the industrial park in Herat province with global markets will create many facilities for imports and exports, as it costs much less to transport goods by railway than by road, and it also takes less time to reach the destination.
Railways are the backbone of the economy in every country, and Afghanistan, as a landlocked country, is in urgent need of nationwide rail lines that would help connect Afghanistan to international waters through the neighboring countries.
I'm a resident of Herat. With regard to Herat-Khaf railway line, jointly developed by Afghanistan and Iran, it can be good for people-to-people contact as well as export and import between the two countries. It will also provide works to the people. I appreciate this Herat-Khaf railway link.
In addition to direct economic benefits of a national rail grid, railroad development projects can create thousands of jobs for the unemployed and for young educated Afghans, most of whom have to look for employment in neighboring or Arab countries.
About the Herat-Khaf railway line, it would create jobs for us, would prevent corruptions at customs on the border, and would boost import and export.
Once completed, the Khaf Herat link will have the reported capacity to transport 6 million tons of goods and 1 million passengers annually. This would help Iran and Afghanistan create a vast transit hub between Europe and Asia, through which commercial goods and passengers can reach from the farthest parts of Asia to the ports of the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman.
Afghanistan and Iran are located very strategically for that purpose. And as they become a hub for trade between Asia and Europe, it will increase their economy greatly. It will give them both more stature in the Middle East and in the world. Afghanistan, of course, has been beleaguered for years. Iran is a powerful nation that has suffered economically due to U.S. aggression, but has stayed strong. Being a central hub for trade between a significant part of the world, economically, the Asia-European trade is extremely large, and with products being able to be shipped more efficiently and therefore more inexpensively, with Iran and Afghanistan as the hub, this will change the economic equation in the world, giving more importance to Europe and Asia, and decreasing their reliance on North American products for that they need on a regular basis.
Strengthening the position of Iran and Afghanistan in the east-west corridors, the Khaf Herat Railway may be the key to revive the ancient Silk Road trade routes and help China materialize its ambitious Belt and Road initiative.
Now, to add more insight and analysis, we are joined by Mr. Shakil Ahmed Rameh, who's a political economist. Mr. Rameh, welcome to the Subcontinent. So, what is the significance of the Khaf Herat railway project? Why is it so important for the region?
So, it is important because any initiative for the connectivity to enhance the economic opportunity or create some opportunity for people-to-people connection is always a good. It brings with it own dynamics and own opportunities, which in the long term benefit the people and largely in the people and the governments of the both countries which are connecting.
So you mean it will bring economic, social and political opportunities. Could you elaborate more on the economic aspect? How will the Khaf Herat railway change the prospects for trade in the region?
Definitely, it is a new avenue for Afghanistan and Iran to connect, and it will also an avenue where the other regional countries and the beyond the region countries can also connect. For example, India can also be connected with it through the Chabahar and creating some other linkages. It will also open the new opportunity for India. But it also can create opportunities if this railway road is being connected to the east-west railway corridor. That would be a very key question, because right now the China and Kazakhstan and other countries are talking to Afghanistan and Iran and Afghanistan, looking at the opportunity how to connect it to the east-west corridor. If it is connected to the east-west corridor, that will open a new, you can say, era of development for the region and the beyond the region, and also it will open opportunity for Afghanistan specifically, which has been hit by so many problems for the long time. It will also create some, you can say, the concrete linkages with the Europe and other countries where they can benefit through the trade. And Afghanistan definitely they can trade in the different products. They have different products to offer, especially in the form of the different fruits and dry fruits and also some minerals. So, but the fundamental question would be again, how it will be connected to the east-west corridor, one thing. Second thing, so how the Russia will you can say, take the next step, because we know that the Russians already have constructed some railway in the Afghanistan-Uzbekistan border. How they will, either they are going to connect it to Afghanistan, either they are going to connect it independently, or they are going to they create some linkages with this Khaf Herat railway road. If they are going to build the connection with the Khaf and the Herat railway road, definitely it will also create some opportunities. But more important would be how Iran and Afghanistan work with the regional country to create to go for the cooperation. From my perspective, if Iran and Afghanistan go for the cooperation, then it can be a real game changer. If they are not cooperating, or if they want to take it as a solo flight, it will be, I don't think so that there will be some success, because Pakistan also have its edge through the CPEC, and if you look at Spain Baltic, Pakistan can also go for connection with Afghanistan, and it would be shorter route. And again, China is building CPEC in Pakistan. They're from Kashgar to the Pakistan. They're bringing the roads and now working on the railway links. So that's why I suggest Iran and Afghanistan will have to cooperate and looking for the cooperation with the regional countries to make it a success.
Mr. Rameh, please let's just take a quick look at how the global media has covered the situation.
The Khaf Herat Railway has a total of 218 kilometers in 4 sections, the first and second sections of which are from Khaf to Shamtir in Iran, with a length of about 76 kilometers, and the third section is from Shamtir to Roznak, with a length of 62 kilometers in Afghanistan. This international railway has an annual capacity of 1.8 million tons of cargo transit from the Commonwealth of Independent States CIS countries, Turkey and the Persian Gulf, said Iran's Deputy Roads and Urban Development Minister Saeed Rasouli. The Asian Development Bank has conducted a credible analysis on railways in Central Asia regional economic cooperation countries, which include Afghanistan, with regards to their huge investment potential between 2017 and 2050, President Ghani said. Based on this study, Afghanistan needs to build 2,440 kilometers of railway, and the initial estimate for building 1,295 kilometers of railway is more than $2.2 billion, he said. The Khaf Herat Railway will contribute to the development and strengthening of economic, social and cultural relations between Iran and Afghanistan by facilitating the export and import of goods and the transport of passengers between the two countries. It will provide Afghanistan the rail access through Iran and further to the international market, including southern access to maritime transport, including to Caucasus, Turkey, Iraq and Europe. The line is part of the East-West Rail Corridor linking the transport network of China to Europe through Iran and Afghanistan. Local officials estimate that Afghanistan can import 2 million tons of goods annually from Iran via the Khaf Herat link. Besides freight, the railway will also carry passengers. According to the spokesman for Afghanistan's finance ministry, the project also will reduce Kabul's dependence on Islamabad for trade. It will more than anything reduce reliance on Pakistan. It's part of our regional connectivity mega plan. Afghanistan needs affordable and connected transportation for its economic growth and trade balance. Railways offer that platform. We can connect not only with Iran, but also the wider region, he said.
Welcome back, Mr. Ramey, and welcome back to the audience as well. Mr. Ramey, you earlier mentioned that it is important to look how the East and West could be connected with this corridor. Now, with this rail line, Iran and Afghanistan are set to become the transit hub for all the exports from China, India, and all the countries along the way to Europe. What are the implications of this for the future of trade in Asia and Europe?
Look, as I said already, if we are going to tag Khaf and the Herat Railway Road as a new hub of, you can say, the transit trade. So we have to look at the dynamics, where, as I mentioned already, if this would be able to create linkages with the East and West railway corridor, then it can be. And we also have to look the middle corridor, which is being under construction in Central Asian states by the Turkey. So how Turkey is going to build these connections with other corridors. If Herat and Khaf is able to build a connection with them, we have to look at that. Then the important question would be, if we are talking about from India to bringing it to Afghanistan and taking it to, you can say, the Europe or from other destinations, we have to also look at the economic cost. Because when you go to approach a market, you also have to be the competitive. Will India be able, if India is bypassing Pakistan and connecting directly to this corridor to the Afghanistan and the Central Asian states, so what would be the economic cost? For example, what would be the travel cost? Will they be able to compensate if there's some other commodities are coming from other countries which don't have such huge economic, you can say, the travel cost? That would be another factor. And the last factor, again, which I already emphasized in my first point, so we have to look how they are building the connection, the cooperation with existing different corridors, or you can say different routes. If they are just bringing it like that, oh, everything is going to change, every dynamics will be going to change after that, that would be the question we need to ponder more seriously, especially when we're talking about it from Herat, if we want to bring it to the Kashgar, to the China. So what would be the economic cost to build that corridor? So will it be the easier for the Chinese market to come from that route to reach to the Iran or Afghanistan, or some other routes they are more feasible for them? One thing. A second thing which maybe we have to discuss here. So Iran would also be look at that, how they can connect it to the Middle East, because at this point of the time the development status of Afghanistan, maybe they will be in a better position to tap the Middle Eastern economy, because they need the food and they can export the food. They need some minerals, they can export those minerals. And we have to look at that, how this road can also facilitate to create the linkages with the Middle East. Again, I will end my answer here. So we need cooperation, and we have to look how Iran and Afghanistan, they are using this railroad network to create the cooperation among the countries.
And that was our episode about the Herat-Khaf railway and different aspects of it. To watch bits of our episodes and more updates, follow us on our social media platforms and make sure to give us feedback about what you think. We'll meet the same time, same day next week. Thanks for watching.